14 and I hurt myself playing soccer. I tore my hip flexor, so I went to a physical therapist, and I thought it was so interesting what they did, and so looked like something that you could really change. I mean, it really changed my life, and I felt that patients in the gym that I was with, it was really changing their lives, and I decided that that's pretty much what I wanted to do, and I started to be a tech there for 3 years through high school. So I was like what Jeremy does here. I was basically a technician. I got hot packs, I got cold packs, I put people on and off stimulation, and just ran around and did all the menial tasks that needed to be done in the clinic. And from there on out, I just decided I think that's what I want to do, and I ended up going to college to be a bio major, which left my door open to do really whatever in the medical field I wanted. And I did have some doubts about it through college, just because of the fact that at the time physical therapy jobs were hard to get. So I decided maybe it's something where I should sort of think about this again. And I contemplated medical school, and I went back to physical therapy because I really wanted to have a family, and I didn't want to be stuck on call all the time. Or probably if I was going to go to be a physician, I would have likely have been an orthopedic surgeon. My dream, I guess. So I would have been away from home a lot, and it would have been a big strain on my personal life. So I thought that physical therapy was my first love, and I decided that was going to be my profession. So, but I do remember my very first clinical experience. I was in Crozer Chester Hospital, and my very first clinical instructor said to me, well, why did you want to be a physical therapist? And I gave him that whole spiel, and he said, oh, you were thinking of going to med school? And I said, yeah, I was thinking about going there, but I decided that physical therapy was something that I would rather do. I think it would be a better fit for me. I love doing that, and he said, boy, you're going to kick yourself in 20 years. And I went, oh. So that was kind of like my foot in the door. I think I was only 2 months into the PT school at the time, so it was something that you really kind of had to take in stride, and I learned from that lesson, and I thought about it, but I still feel like after that time I said, you know what, I either need to figure this out, because it was still early, I could have quit and moved on, but I decided that it's something that I love to do, and I love helping people that way, and it provides me the opportunity to be with patients for more than a few minutes, and I'm not limited in terms of my contact with the patients, so that's why I kept going.
So there are no regrets? No
regrets, no. I do on occasion think about what it would be like, and partially the reason I think about it is because physical therapists, we train for a long time, we have a lot of knowledge, we do a lot of research. It's a very, in our minds, respected medical profession, but we don't get really in many instances, we don't get the kind of the respect that is probably due to a lot of physical therapists. So, and partially because we're not direct access providers, although it is legal, which is funny, it's legal for me to see people direct access off the street, but insurance companies still haven't gotten around to deciding that they're going to pay for that yet. So, in other words, it doesn't really make it a viable option. So, I think that's probably the only reason that I have regrets, is because if I wanted to be an autonomous practitioner, it turns out that I'm partially autonomous. I can do what I want to do to treat patients, but there's you're not at the top of the food chain, which has its limitations in some occasions. So,
have you considered getting involved with the occupational therapists, that organization, that association?
No, OTs and PTs, there's a lot of overlapping care that they do. When you go to a hospital, the OTs pretty much deal with anything from the elbows or shoulders down, and the PTs deal with everything else. In clinic settings like this, they deal with mostly hands or mostly hand specialists. The PTs and OTs sort of are two divergent paths that cross over quite a bit. So the OT specialty is a more occupational grooming, ADL, activities of daily living type of training program that they're very helpful in long-term acute care, long-term care, things like that, where the patients really need to find another solution. Although PTs can do similar things too, so I don't, mean, I think that I do enough. I think I could probably make it through teaching somebody those kinds of tasks without having to train in that field.
Let's go back to something you mentioned a few minutes ago about the education. How many years was that you invested?
So it's now a doctoral level program. So despite the fact that I have my doctorate, you wouldn't know because we don't use our designation. Again, one of the limitations of being a physical therapist. If you think about, it's a clinical doctorate, so it's a 4-year college degree. So you get your bachelor's in whatever, as long as you have the prerequisites, and then now you take a approximately 3-year direct entry or entry level doctorate. So it's not you don't defend a thesis. It's a clinical doctorate, just like a PsyD, if you're familiar with like psychology doctorate, or a lot of other doctorates that you think of that aren't MDs or academic doctorate. So like not a PhD.
Interesting.
It's 7 years of post high school education, essentially.